In 2001, the Bush administration revealed a controversial national energy plan. America was dependent on oil from the Middle East, but the government wanted the U.S. to be more self-sustaining. Oil was scarce, and the government had to decide if they were going to drill in Alaska or preserve the wildlife. So, what exactly is scarcity? How do we deal with and understand scarcity, trade-offs, and opportunity costs? The entire field of economics is based on the idea of scarcity. Economics is about how people can allocate scarce resources.
Why do you believe there was so much controversy surrounding the Bush administration when they suggested drilling for oil in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge?
Well, here at the Bush administration, for a long time we strongly supported drilling for oil here in America because it would make us more self-sufficient and increase our domestic production. The discussion was also right around the recession in 2008, so we were eager to create jobs through oil drilling.
Why did the Bush administration call for an end to this?
After examining this closer, we recognized that even though there would be a decrease in oil prices and less reliance on other countries for oil, the trade-off would result in severe environmental damage that would in turn cost us more to attempt to fix. The Arctic National Wildlife Refuge has been home to different species, and we run the risk of damaging their land as well as opening up the risk for potential oil spills. By drilling, we could be losing more money by ruining a tourist attraction and having to clean the ocean after an oil spill. The opportunity cost was just too costly. That's why the Bush administration ultimately called for an end to oil drilling.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Scarcity. All resources are scarce or in limited supply. Labor, pencils, water, land, capital. Due to this limited supply, oftentimes the demand for resources exceeds the supply. This leads to a shortage in supply. If the demand is greater than the available supply, what do people do to get it? What would they give up in exchange for these scarce resources?
Water is slowly becoming a scarce resource in the world, with many countries already suffering from a scarcity of the vital resource. Within the next 10 years, it is predicted that 40 out of the 50 United States are going to experience water scarcity. This would lead to a shortage of the resource as well as an increase in price.
Since nothing and no resource is infinite, producers need to make choices on what to produce. There's only a certain amount of resources available to make products with, and people need to decide where to allocate these resources. For each amount of a resource that goes into one good, there's less available to make another good. This is what trade-offs are all about. Trade-off refers to the idea that because resources are scarce, producing more of one means producing less of another. So, to produce more of a given good A, you trade off good B and thus produce less of it. Because resources are limited, there's not enough of them to increase production for both goods. Hence, trade-offs occur. Yashir Dill will now further explain the production possibilities and how production possibilities of a market are affected by scarcity and trade-offs.
Take, for example, milk. Milk can be used to make either butter or yogurt. If you choose to make butter, you're losing the opportunity to make yogurt, and if you choose to make yogurt, you're losing the opportunity to make butter. This shows the idea of trade-offs and opportunity costs. Opportunity cost is exactly what I just discussed. It is how the cost of producing one item comes at the value of another item that you can no longer produce.
The production possibilities curve is a graph that shows just how scarcity and opportunity costs can affect goods that are produced and available for consumers. Looking at the graph, butter on one axis and yogurt on another. The points on the curve represent how much of both goods can be produced with a given amount of resources. Because resources are scarce, no person or market can produce an infinite amount of anything. A person can only produce until the resources that go into making a product are gone. Suppose you have 50 gallons of milk. It takes 2 gallons of milk to make 1 unit of butter. That means you can make 25 units of butter. On the other hand, it takes 5 gallons of milk to produce 1 unit of yogurt. That means at max you can make 10 units of yogurt. If you choose to produce 25 units of butter, then you use up all the 50 gallons of milk, and there's no milk left over for producing yogurt. If you choose to make 10 units of yogurt, you use up all the 50 gallons of milk and cannot produce any butter. There's another option is that you produce 20 units of butter, which uses 40 gallons. This leaves 10 gallons of milk to produce 2 units of yogurt. All these combinations are possible, from producing all butter to all yogurt to anything in between. These varying combinations make the points along the possibility graph. Each combination shows that because of scarcity, producing more yogurt means producing less butter, or vice versa. Points B, D, and C show the maximum combinations of producing yogurt or butter with the 50 gallons of milk available. Point A on the graph shows a combination of butter and yogurt that you can produce if you choose not to use the maximum 50 gallons of milk. Point X shows a combination of butter and yogurt that is outside the curve, which shows you are producing at a combination which requires more than the available resources. This also shows opportunity cost, since making one product you're making less of another product, meaning you're losing the money you could have made. If more resources are available, the production possibilities curve can shift, and this can increase the number of yogurt or butter or any good that you produce with the resources available. Overall, the production possibilities curve is used to plot out how much of each good you're able to produce with the amount of resources you have available.